City are finally back. We've just played our first pre-season game of the summer. A 4-3 loss to Celtic, unfortunately, but it was still an awful lot of fun. This isn't going to be the longest video ever in the world. It is 2:45 a.m. as I'm recording this. I'm absolutely knackered. I'm doing a good job pretending that I'm not, but I truly am exhausted. That's the one thing about having a toddler. You're prepared for sleep deprivation. I am born in sleep deprivation. I'm raised in sleep deprivation. I'm absolutely fine with it. But either way, I really enjoyed that, man. I really enjoyed that game of football. We didn't win, but there was plenty of good stories. There's plenty to enjoy. And once again, I'm going to reiterate my view on pre-season friendlies. All I want to see from pre-season friendlies is some nice positives here and there. I don't mind if some players aren't ready yet, or some players look a little bit rusty or whatever. I don't mind. I understand. It's totally normal for players to not be ready for a game of football. Yeah, it's pre-season. You know, the combinations of players are erratic. They're all over the place. It's just a crazy, crazy time to be a footballer. Pre-season is wild. But if you see a player play well, it's a massive, massive positive. And that's what I got. Immediately, if you are watching live, please do me a massive favour. Give the video a like. If you're watching it tomorrow morning like a normal person, unlike insane Stephen here, please give the video a like as well. And consider subscribing to the channel. The dedication. I've been doing this for several years. Nearly a decade now. So I'm there. I'm loyal. I'm a lifelong City fan. Give the video a like. Subscribe to the channel. So my top level thoughts. It was rusty. Defensively, we're absolutely woeful. But what I was most encouraged by is City going forward every now and then. There were signs of real chemistry. I'm sort of used to City looking bad defensively in pre-season. I think you see a lot where teams defend terribly in pre-season. I think it's because defending is hard, because so much of it is about shape and structure and fitness and knowing the person alongside you, and pretty much none of that is there yet. The shape isn't there yet because you haven't done it a billion times on the training pitch. The structure isn't there because the manager hasn't worked it out, and also the cohesion isn't there because you don't know who's playing alongside you. So it's very easy for the defence to be poor, and it's usually a bunch of players who aren't quite ready to make the step up to the first team, or maybe never will. So you understand why it happens. It's just chaotic. Whereas the attackers are playing way more instinctively, and it's quite easy as an attacker just doing your thing to get at a defence that's totally all over the show. That is what happens. You see it all the time in pre-season. Poor defensive work. But I want to start initially with the positives. I'll talk about the negatives in a little bit. Negatives is not the right word. Maybe the things that didn't impress quite as much. Negatives feels harsh for a pre-season friendly, but I want to talk about the positives. I'm immediately going to talk about Oscar Bobb. He's the thumbnail title, Oscar Bobb Masterclass. I thought he was absolutely excellent. He was quiet for the first 30 minutes or so, but then he absolutely turned up. He scored his goal, of course. Kasper Schmeichel probably should have done a little bit better, but he got his goal. It trickled into the net. But it was more the first assist that was the standout moment of this game of football. Jinking down the right, he turned back, but then turned back again, and he couldn't keep up with him, man. He absolutely rinsed the defender, darted down the touchline, turned back inside, and had the presence of mind to play a lovely little pass to Perrone. I'll get onto him in a bit as well. And the returning Las Palmas Loney slotted it into the bottom corner. And that wasn't enough for Oscar Bobb. He then, of course, got an assist for his compatriot, his fellow Norwegian international, Erling Haaland, with a deep cross from the left. Stood up to the back post. Haaland rose clearly, precisely, and headed it past the keeper. And it was a couple of moments as well where his footwork in the centre of the pitch was just far too good. He went central towards the end of the game, and he was so good there, man. The way he darts past people, the way he can turn and accelerate through the gears so quickly, it's just so impressive. He is one with that ball, and it's what I wanted to see. I want to see an Oscar Bobb who played like a senior player, and that's what we got. He's been looking good for Norway. He's obviously not played loads last season, but he definitely made a bit of a breakout moment. The Newcastle game in particular. I like him, man. I really like him. I think he's a quality player. And I've got a feeling this could be a bit of a breakout season for him. He's so good. It's going to be hard. You got Savio, you've got Doku, you've got Grealish, you've got obviously Foden, De Bruyne, and so on. It's going to be really difficult, but Oscar Bobb seems to be diligent. He seems to understand he's got to wait around and get his chance. And if he plays like that, he's got to get his chance, man. An absolute masterclass. I was also really encouraged in that first half in particular, and I'll bring the first half team up on screen right now because it's chaos. And I'll remind you who played in that first half. Here we go. So that was the first half team there. I'll go for everyone now, actually. Now I've got Oscar Bobb. Ortega didn't have a great game in goal, but he didn't really have much of a chance. Rico Lewis had a really kind of weird game. He played pretty much all of it, if not all of it. I can't remember now. I'm so tired already. He wasn't that great at right back, but when he went more central, drifting through, he was really good at that. Yeah, excellent on the ball. Defensively, a little bit suspect, if I'm being totally honest, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Jamai Simpson-Poussey, I thought he did a decent game for a young lad, and the defence was all over the show. Not really going to blame him. It was up against senior Celtic players. Yeah, it didn't really massively happen. MCFC lads in the chat, how you doing, my mate? Oscar Bobb, indeed. Yeah, just a superstar, my friend. Absolutely. I thought Simpson had a decent little game. And Bete, unfortunately, and Joshua Wilson-Esbrand, they struggled an awful lot. I'm not going to blame him once again. I saw people being a bit down on Wilson-Esbrand, and I probably was a little bit myself in the watch-along. But I also feel the need to defend him massively. You know, he's a young lad, left back. He's not an inverted fullback at all. He was asked to play the inverted fullback role. He can't do it. I don't think that's his fault. He's a traditional bombarding left back, probably a left wing back if we're being honest. He just wants to get forward, and he just had a bit of a mare. He had a bit of a mare, man. It was just unfortunate for him. And Lucan Bete off the back of a middling loan at Den Bosch over the Netherlands in the second tier. There was no chemistry there, unfortunately, between the two. And that second half. Oh, Chris is in the chat. How you doing, my man, Chris Golding? Were you watching it? Chris is part of VGC, by the way, who's the best video game website that we've done videos together before in the past. It was good fun, man. How strong was your team, Chris? But I enjoyed it, man. It was a really good fun game, and Celtic fans must be buzzing, you know. Well done. That's what you want from a friendly. Absolutely, goals, you players, just vibes, you know. But I thought the defensively it was pretty poor, if we're being honest. Look, Calvin Phillips, I'm breaking my own preseason rule here, but it's because I've seen a pattern. You can't ignore a pattern. Calvin Phillips, he's just not good enough, unfortunately. Like Calvin Phillips looks like he has to really think hard about what he's going to do when he gets on the ball. He just does, man. He looks like occasionally he'll do the right thing, but after he's really thought about it, and by that point everyone's caught up to him and the game's slowed down, he's just not sharp enough. He's not smart enough or sharp enough to play as a six in Manchester City. And when he occasionally gets on the ball, he takes a little bit too long to play the pass. And when he does play it, he's not always great. And he just doesn't move. He seems to be sort of caught in a dreamland. I don't think he's lazy. I don't think he is. I don't think he's not trying his best. I think his best just isn't good enough. Some people, it's like his reaction speed is just slow. It just doesn't seem to be up to scratch. And we see it look better when he went off, which is damning, unfortunately. Calvin, you're a lovely man. You're a good footballer, but you just do not suit this team so much. Someone asked, why was Wilson-Esbrand so poor? Well, I've just told you, mate. He's not. He was playing as an inverted fullback. He just can't do that. He's a left wing. He's a left back. He's not good enough for Man City anyway. He's not. That's not a criticism. City are probably the best team in the world, if not the top few. There's no shame in not being good enough. But I feel like, you know, his weaknesses in his game was always a bit chaotic, you know. He's a little bit, a little bit chaotic. He's a little bit all over the place in terms of his approach. He's pure energy, but that's never going to translate to an inverted fullback role. Celtic fan Chris saying in the chat, about 80% strength in the first half. You're definitely much closer, mate. When you look at our team there, you know, Simpson-Poussey and Bete, Wilson-Esbrand, Phillips, O'Reilly, McAtee. Yeah, we're missing a lot of players there, mate. Yeah. But yeah, Wilson-Esbrand didn't have a great game. Nico O'Reilly, I thought, showed a couple of really nice touches, bits of skill here and there where he dropped the defender, but then showed probably his slight youthful naivety when he sort of dawdled on the ball a tiny bit. I thought McAtee was good in the first half, actually. I thought McAtee had a really nice little cameo. You can tell he's got that ability in the pockets, to quote Guardiola. A really intelligent footballer. I would love to see a bit more for him for this tour. I hope he will get it. I hope Guardiola is being honest and sincere as well with his claim that, you know, McAtee should stay around the first team. I think he should do. I think he's learned the physical side of the Premier League. I think he's learned what it's like to battle and fight for your life, to scrap, to really fucking work, man. He's learned that, and I think he's got the technical ability. He's ready for men's football, so I think he should stay around. Oscar Bobb, I've just absolutely waxed lyrical about. I could do it again. Brilliant footballer. Looked sharp. He looked alive. He looked fit, exactly same side, but he looked really good. Jack, I thought, was full of energy as well. Jack in the second half as well played a bit more central, which I quite liked, actually. Not everything came off, but he was fit, he was up for it, he was good. And Haaland was Erling Haaland. He probably should have scored a couple more. Worked really hard. I liked the bit where he drove at the defenders and tried to play a 1-2. I love that from Erling. I want to see more of Erling Haaland doing that. I want to see that aggression to his game, because when he does that, he looks a lot more threatening. In terms of the second half substitutions, I mean, this is what I had on screen in the end. I think Callum Doyle came on and thought he had a pretty decent game. Callum Doyle. Ederson came on and looked like Ederson. I thought Ederson's brilliant. Callum Doyle I like, by the way. There's definitely an air of a mini Laporte there to him, isn't there? Hugely is. But he won't get the chance. He will go on loan almost certainly. He looked way more comfortable, I would argue, than Katongo and Simpson per se, but that's because he's probably way more experienced. Well, not probably, he actually is. Katongo thought was fine. He had a good loan at Peterborough, and it wasn't a lot to judge him on in a still relatively chaotic defence with Rico Lewis over on the left. Sousa, when he came on, by the way, I thought he played as an inverted fullback. I thought he had a really nice game, man. I liked it. It reminded me a little bit of Romeo Lavia. A really smart player. Yeah, I just liked him. I think he's a really good player. Intelligent, uses the ball nice. Positioning was good. Didn't seem to get caught out on the ball an awful lot. Yeah, really encouraging little cameo. Jacob Wright looked a little bit flustered. I saw someone say in the live chat, the watch long, he doesn't look very good on the ball, which is the exact opposite interpretation of what a City coach would give you about Jacob Wright. He's known for being so composed on the ball. He's compared to Jorginho an awful lot as a young player. Didn't happen for him today, but that's going to happen every now and then for young players, you know. It's very hard to make your mark always. It'll happen. Maximo Perrone, of course, scored a lovely goal. He looks so smart on the ball. That's the first team player, isn't it? Not necessarily with Man City yet. Could be. I don't know. Maybe. But that's the first team player. That's a La Liga player. That's a guy who looks like football comes easy to him. It's composed, calm, elegant. I like him a lot. I would not be upset if he stayed around the first team at all. I would rather Maximo Perrone play than Mateus Nunes. I said it out loud, I just would. I think he's more of a Manchester City player. But Perrone, I think, will get another loan. But that's a baller there, a proper footballer. We talked about Bobb already, of course. Jordan Darla is another that's definitely ready for first-team football. 18 years old. Only turned 18 at the end of May, so very recently. And I like what I saw of him. That's Jadon Sancho. It just is Jadon Sancho. Highly technical, likes to beat his man. Looks full of life, full of energy. Jordan Darla is ready for some football somewhere. I don't know if he'll get it at Man City. He probably won't get it in Man City because it's the queue in front of him is massive. You've got Jack Grealish, you've got Oscar Bobb, you've got Savinho, you've got Bernardo who can play out wide, you've got, Doku. It's going to be very, 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 very hard, admittedly. But there's a very talented football there. Michael Hamilton was he came on as a striker. It didn't really happen for him. He's not a striker, Michael Hamilton. I can't really judge him an awful lot. And Ben Knight has spawned yet again for pre-season. Not played any football for the best part of a couple of years now, but he seems to get fit for pre-season and then gets injured. I thought he actually had a decent little cameo, Ben Knight. He's still clearly got his technical ability. I hope he finds a good loan for him because I like Ben Knight. He's a decent little player. He's just not a Manchester City level player. Jacob Wright, loan to La Liga. I don't think he's quite there yet, Colby. La Liga is one of the best leagues in the world. I don't think anyone would take him. I think he's going to have to get a lower league loan. He's not quite there. He hasn't got the reputation that Perrone had, who came from the Argentinian league as a professional. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought the game was good fun. Look, pre-season to me is always about the vibes. It's about looking for positives. I don't care about the negatives in pre-season. As I've said a billion times, it's win-win. There are a ton of reasons why a player could be off the boil. Very logical and fair reasons. Fitness, cohesion, lack of match practice, blah, 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 etc. There's so many reasons, and the fair reasons, that you have to just go, it's okay, don't worry about it if a player doesn't play well. But if anyone plays well, it's a reason to be encouraged because, I enjoyed the vibes of that game. It was low pressure. Everyone was going for it. The defending was terrible, don't get me wrong, but some of the forward play occasionally was really, really nice. I enjoyed it an awful lot. So this isn't going to be the most in-depth video, guys. I'll have a think about it a little bit more tomorrow. I need it to sink in. It's 3 a.m. here. I'm absolutely knackered. I'll do a 5 things learned tomorrow, maybe another live video, something like that. But for now, though, City are back in action. They played with the new kit. It looked decent. I'm sure the American fans enjoyed the game. It's interesting. Someone said McAtee doesn't like it's going to work out. I thought he was good, mate. So interesting that you say that. But I enjoyed the game today. I thought it was fun. I thought City put on a bit of a show. Not necessarily always a high quality one, but an entertaining one. Absolutely. I'm going to bed. Love you all, loads. Subscribe. Bye bye.